the new, updated, proposed rule changes by the MLB Competition Committee and Rob Manfred. So, new rules proposed by the MLB Competition Committee. They're proposed and apparently have been approved. And I don't know the entire full process that goes into how these rules become implemented. Okay. But before I even get into that process, before I even get into I'll get into the new rules as a transitionary into what's gone on. So, MLB Competition Committee has approved, according to Jesse Rogers of ESPN, they've approved these new rule changes, kind of adding on to the most recent rule changes for the 2024 season. So previously in 2023, with the whole new wave of rules, MLB had implemented the pitch clock, most notably, where the pitchers had 15 seconds between pitches with no runners on base. They had 20 seconds with runners on base. They had a maximum of 3 pickoff attempts per batter with runners on any base, but usually first base. And the maximum of 3, meaning 1 pickoff attempt, a second pickoff attempt. And on the third pickoff attempt, that runner had to be retired on the base paths from that third pickoff attempt by the pitcher. Otherwise, the base runner was awarded an extra base, almost like a balk, right? So the pitcher could pick off once, pick off twice. On the third pickoff, if the runner's back safely, he gets to go to the next base. So again, pitch clock, pickoff limitations, larger bases, mound visits were timed and limited. And I'm probably missing a few. I know that more recently there's been a 3-batter minimum rule implemented for pitchers, all kinds of different stuff. Oh, and per at bat, each hitter gets 1 timeout to use. Kind of all part of that pitch clock realm. The competition committee has now approved further changes to add on to those rules, taking the pitch clock with runners on base down from 20 seconds to 18 seconds between pitches. The mound visit total for each team down from 5 per game to 4 per game, adding a new rule that if a pitcher warms up before an inning, he must face at least 1 batter in that said inning. And then lastly, they widened the runner's lane from home plate to first base. And they've widened it from not just the area in that foul territory box, but all the way from the foul territory line box in foul territory to the infield grass. So it's wider for base runners to run down, which I think is a good rule. And that's kind of a random separate rule that's not really related to anything that we're going to talk about on today's show. They have implemented these new rules. I like the runner's lane one, and then the other ones, because that's a brand new one. And then the other ones are added on sort of from other rules that have been implemented in the few years past. And I think the main thing to emphasize, the supposed proposal of these new rules, the competition committee approving these changes. And again, I don't know the full process of how these rules get put into place, but from what I understand, I don't think the players have a lot to say, a lot to do with this. And I think there's a main reason for that. A few years back, the MLB Players Association, they had basically a work stoppage, a lockout because of the collective bargaining agreement that they were trying to come to an agreement on. And it got to a point where Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, started to postpone and remove games and weeks and days from the regular season in baseball. The players didn't like that. They were going to be losing out on some money. Basically, push came to shove. The negotiation process got a little bit ugly to a degree. And the players came to an agreement with the owners, with the league, on a new collective bargaining agreement. And in that new collective bargaining agreement, players basically agreed to the competition committee for Major League Baseball implementing new rules like the pitch clock, like the pickoff limitations, like the larger bases, things like that. The players, in my opinion, were forced into it and almost tricked into it because they were arguing for things like a higher competitive balance tax, equal pay, minor league pay, a lot of things to do with money and not a lot to do with the actual on-field product. And I think the players got tricked into it a little bit. And that's not necessarily their fault. Maybe some guys are enjoying the new rules. Maybe some guys don't care. You know, it's hard to say specifically, but that part of it is kind of murky. One thing I can tell you definitively, that is Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, as well as the owners in the sport, minus a handful of guys, You could probably cross off about 5 or 6 of these guys from this grouping that I'm about to do. But Rob Manfred, the commissioner of Major League Baseball, and let's say 22 to 25 of the 30 owners in Major League Baseball, they all fall into the same category. And that category is they don't give a single shit about baseball. They don't care about the actual sport and the product on the field. They don't care. There's a handful of owners that don't fall into that category. But Rob Manfred and about 22 to 25 of the owners in Major League Baseball all fall into the same category. They don't care about the sport of baseball. They do not care about the on-field product. They don't care about the well-being of the players. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about anybody but themselves and making as much money as physically possible. That is all they care about at all times. They do not care about the integrity of the game. They do not care about the mental well-being of these players. They don't care about injuries. They don't care about any of it. If they say they do, they are lying. I want to make that abundantly clear. They are lying. Rob Manfred saying he wants the integrity of the game to remain while implementing these new rules and the pitch clock and other. He is lying. He is not telling the truth. The owners saying the same thing. They are lying. The only goal in the entirety of implementing new rules into the sport of Major League Baseball, more specifically limiting things like pitch clock or limiting things like mound visits, pickoff attempts, pitching changes, shortening the game, and adding a pitch clock. The only goal for the owners and the commissioner in those situations and new rule implementations is to make the game of baseball easier to watch on television. That is the only goal. That is the only thing they are trying to do with any and every new rule change that they're adding into the sport. That's it. Because they want the game to be more appealing for people to watch on TV. They want games to go by a little bit quicker, just like all the other sports do. Basketball, hockey, all these different sports going by quicker, less commercials, things like that. They want TV deals. They don't care about how much ticket sales are. Teams have proven time and time again to sell out on a consistent basis, to be top 3, top 5 in attendance, and it does not impact the team's payroll. It doesn't impact the ownership. They could care less. What they want is massive, massive, massive TV contract, TV deals, sponsorships, commercials, ads, money, revenue. That is the only thing the owner of any MLB team, minus a handful of guys, and the commissioner cares about. That's the only thing. Less mound visits, shorter pitch clock, less pitching changes, bigger bases, more stolen bases, limiting the shift. It is all in an attempt to make the game more appealing for the extremely outside and casual fan. Easier to watch on TV, more money, more sponsorships, money, 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 money. That's all they care about. That's all they care about. That's all they've ever cared about. That's all they're ever going to care about. That's it. What I have a hard time understanding is how anybody that is a fan of baseball, granted, they can't do much about it anyways. I can't do much about it. Most people watching, most people listening can't do much about it. How anybody at any point could legitimately defend decisions being made by the commissioner, new rule changes being implemented, and use the logic behind it that it does ultimately make the game of baseball better. I was extremely against the new rule changes with the pitch clock, the shift, banning of the shift, pickoff attempt limiting, pitching change limiting, mound visit limiting. I was extremely against that when it first got implemented. Last year, I think the game of baseball was changed drastically, changed significantly, and I don't necessarily believe it was changed for the better. The games went by quicker. I guess that means better to a lot of people. Not really to me. Now they want to add on to and continue to restrict the game of baseball. I'm going to repeat myself. Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, and most of the owners in Major League Baseball do not care about the sport of baseball at all. They do not care about it. They do not care. They want to maximize profits and revenue, all costs, whatever that may take, including jeopardizing the integrity of the sport itself by adding rules into the sport that have never existed in the history of Major League Baseball. They want to make the games more appealing for people to watch on television because they want to make more money with TV deals, sponsorships, commercials, and advertising, because that's where the money is in Major League Baseball. That's where the money is in professional sports. That's all they care about. They do not care about the health and safety of the players. They don't care about the diehard fans. They don't care about the viewing experience in person. They don't care about the revenue in the ballpark. They don't care about ticket sales. They don't care about any of it. The Colorado Rockies every single year are consistently top 3, top 5 in attendance. And you could blame a lot of different reasons why that team is never competitive. The main reason is the owner, Dick Moffert, does not care about the people coming to the games. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the product in the field. He doesn't care if the team's competitive or not. He doesn't care about any of it. He doesn't care about any of it. He cares about making money, 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 more money, and as much money as he possibly can. Whatever that may take. Well, I guess beer prices probably going to go up. Ticket prices, those will probably go up. Payroll, not going to change. Product in the field, not going to be good. TV contracts, that's going to cost you more. Whoever wants the sole broadcasting rights for the Colorado Rockies. Money, 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 and more money. The commissioner of Major League Baseball is acting on behalf of the owners. He wants to make the game more appealing for TV so that the owners can reelect him so he can make more money because he wants money. The owners want money. He acts on their behalf to get them more money. He doesn't care about the sport of baseball. And everyone gave me shit for freaking out about the implementation of the new rule changes. The pitch clock, the mound visit limitations, the pickoff limitations, all that different stuff. Oh, it's going to make the game better. Oh, it made the games quicker. Oh, the action was better. Oh, this and that. Okay, maybe that's true. I don't agree, but maybe that's true. But guess what happens? You give them an inch, they take it a mile. 20 seconds with runners on base? Nope, has to be 18 seconds. 5 mound visits instead of unlimited? Now it's 5. No, now it's 4. No. Pitcher, if he's warming up before the end. Oh my God, dude. It's faster. We have to make the game faster. We have to go quicker. Baseball games, got to give it under 2 hours. Faster, better on TV, more money. Dude, the new rule changes are a joke. They're a complete joke. If it's not apparent by now, I don't know when it's ever going to be for people. They don't care about the sport of baseball. They want the game to go quicker and be a better TV product. That's literally all they care about. That is the only reason the owners and the commissioner want these rule changes in place. That is the only reason. Injuries increase a little bit, 15, 20%. Well, games are quicker. Pitcher's having a hard time on the mound. Can't throw strikes. He's got to step off in between pitches and gather himself with a deep breath. Nope, can't happen. Get rid of it. Let's go. Throw the baseball. Let's go. Quicker, faster. People's attention span shorter and shorter and shorter. Move quicker, faster, quicker. It's a complete joke. It is a complete joke. In my opinion, the new rule changes that were implemented in 2023 were a complete joke. They jeopardized the integrity of the sport to a degree. I know the game last year was fun and is exciting to watch, but then we ended up with a situation where we got the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Texas Rangers. The Rangers were a decent team last year. The Diamondbacks weren't. That's the sport of baseball. Sometimes that happens. It is what it is, but it's de-incentivizing other aspects of the game that have been emphasized and incentivized for decades and decades and decades. And now all of a sudden it's incentivizing younger players, faster players, all this stuff. There's an argument for that quality of the game. And I actually don't mind it. I thought some of the product was pretty decent, but I also thought most people hated the MLB postseason last year because the new rule changes forced every game to go by quickly, throw the ball, deliver the pitch, hit the ball. There was no moments. There was no dramatic sequencing. There was no opportunity for anybody at any point in the MLB postseason last year to take a step back, catch their breaths, analyze the situation, build the moment. None of that. Absolutely zero. And Major League Baseball suffered the consequences severely because of that. Severely. Last year's Major League Baseball postseason, despite all the touting and bragging that MLB wanted to do about viewership being up and attendance being up, games being shorter, okay, that's all awesome. Congratulations. Then we got to the postseason and nobody watched it. Nobody watched it. Big market teams got knocked out. Nobody watched the World Series because it wasn't the true sport of baseball at its heart. It was a 25 or 30% sped up version of what people were used to watching in October when the playoffs came around. Moments, mound visits, guys stepping out, pitchers being able to step off, gather their thoughts a little bit. A guy walking up to the plate with the bases loaded, taking his time, doing his batting gloves a little bit, stepping into the box, getting a nice deep breath, gathering himself for a monster situation. There were none of those. There were none of those. Corey Seager hit a game-tying home run in the bottom of the ninth inning of a World Series game, and you barely heard about it. You barely heard about it. Unless you were seriously involved in the world of baseball media and you were actively looking for that highlight, it was barely newsworthy in the grand scheme of the world of sports. The World Series, you barely heard about it. Granted, there's other sports that were going on at the same time. Football, college football, basketball on its way in, but Major League Baseball adding in the rule changes for 2023 and trying to even push those boundaries of the rule changes further in 2024 ultimately is doing themselves a massive, 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 massive disservice to the integrity of the game. That's my humble opinion. I'm just a guy. I don't know anything about baseball or about sports and revenue and all that stuff, but I knew this was going to happen. I knew if people laid and rolled over, I knew if people rolled over. I knew if people rolled over to the new rule changes being implemented by Major League Baseball, adding in a clock, limiting mound visits, limiting pickoff attempts, all the different things, changing the sport and the integrity of the game, in my opinion. I knew if these rule changes would just get implemented and nobody did anything about them, the MLB would start pushing a little more, push a little bit more. 20 seconds with runners on base, pitch clock. What about 18? Oh, okay, 18. Let's say that gets 2 years from now. What about 15? Before it was unlimited mound visits, then they put 5. Well, what about now? What about 4 mound visits? A couple years. What about 3? What about 1 mound visit? What about no mound visits? 1 pickoff, limit the pickoff attempts. 3. Now what about 2? Let's do 2. What about 1? What about you're never allowed to pick off? When does it turn into, how many years does it take for baseball to turn into I don't even know, a more complex version of an adult men's league softball where it's just, here's the ball, throw it, hit it, run, attention span, short as possible, ads popping up in the middle of play. Like, when do we draw the line? When do we draw the line? When is the MLB competition committee, when is Major League Baseball going to stop trying to push the boundaries, push the envelope a little bit, change the rules, shave off a second here, shave off a second there? They already cut off 30 minutes of average game time. 30 minutes of average game time last year. How much more do you need to chunk off, Rob? How many more minutes do you need to shave off the edges to be even more appealing to TV sponsorships, advertisers, broadcast rights? How much more do you need? Because at this point, if anybody actually thinks Rob Manfred and a lot of the owners are actually acting in the best interests of the integrity of baseball, then you don't know anything about the sport of baseball at all. They do not care about the sport of baseball. They don't care about the integrity of it. They implemented these rules. They added in these rule changes because they want the game to be as appealing to the casual TV watching fan as possible. That's it. That's all. They don't care about the diehard fan. They don't care about the health of the players. They don't care about people going to the games in person. TV appeal is the only reason they're doing this. I can't say it enough. I repeat myself over and over again because it has to be understood. And people have to start pushing back on the commissioner, on the owners, for a number of different reasons, not just the rule changes, the fact that they're all cheap as hell, not paying their players, forcing fans to come and watch games at horrendous, terrible venues, and everybody's just kind of cool with it, kind of lets it go by. And I know there's not really much you could do about it anyways, right? What are you going to do about John Fisher, the owner of the Oakland A's, just moving the team? What are you going to do about it? Nothing. Not much, if anything. And I'm not saying just boycott. I'm not saying do all that stuff, but voice your opinion about it. That's my recommendation to people. Let it be known that these rule changes cannot and should not be implemented. I don't think they should have been implemented to begin with. I think if you're not going to watch baseball, you're never going to watch baseball. I don't think adding a clock is all of a sudden going to bring in this massive new wave of fans that they're attempting to pull in to make more money because they don't care about anybody except new fans, more viewership, higher ratings, and money and money and money. Now they have new rule changes, 18-second pitch clock with runners on base, 4 mound visits instead of 5. If a pitcher warms up before the inning, no, we can't do a pitching change. We can't have any matchups at all. We got to just go out there and throw it, let it rip. Let's go quicker, faster, shorter attention spans. We got to go. If he warms up before the inning, he's got to face at least one. Why? Oh, it's for money. Okay. At least be honest. At least I'd rather them be honest to me about it. I'd rather them come to me and be like, you know what? We got to make more money. That's all we really care about is money. Got to make the game more appealing for the TV viewer, the casual fan, try to draw in more people, because ultimately the money comes in TV contracts and ad revenue, sponsorships. So until we can make it more, a better product for TV, the league may struggle here or there, or do this and that. Okay, that's, that's complete BS. You guys all have a ton of money, but at least you're being honest. But they're trying to disguise it. Major League Baseball is trying to disguise these new rule changes that they implemented last year, that they are now trying to shave off even more for 2024 by shortening the pitch clock, limiting the mound visits, limiting pitching changes. They're trying to disguise all this as helping the sport, making the game better, making it more appealing. I don't know. They're trying to disguise it. They're trying to make it seem like it's for the quality of the sport and for competition reasons, when in reality, it's just about money. It's always been about money and nothing else. Make it easier to watch on TV, make more money. If they were honest about it, I'd at least be like, well, that's kind of BS because you guys all have billions of dollars, but at least you're honest. If you're saying we need to change the rules of baseball and add it a clock so it makes it more appealing and the league can make more money and then we can have some improvements with the league, things like that. At least they would be honest in that situation. They're just trying to disguise it and just lying to people. And people just folded last year. Well, we'll see how these rules go. It's not that big of a deal. Hey, look, the games are shorter. And the commissioner and the owners are like, okay, they've accepted phase 1. Phase 2, less time on the pitch clock, fewer mound visits, fewer pitching changes. Can't just roll over anymore, man. I mean, at what point do we step in and be like, okay, stop shaving seconds off the pitch clock. Okay. You know what? Maybe there was a clock that was necessary to some degree. Some guys take way too long. At least we can accept that. What do you need to shave off 2 seconds from the pitch clock with runners on base? You need to shave off a mound visit? Give me a break, dude. This is why I was losing my mind last year when they implemented the rule changes into Major League Baseball and added a clock into a sport that had previously never had one in its entire history. This is why I was losing my mind. This is why, because I knew if everyone just rolled over, they implemented these new rules, the players were kind of okay with it and whatever, we ran a test phase and then it shortened the games. It ultimately made it a more appealing product for TV, just like they were trying to do to make more money. That's it. I knew they would try to take it 1 inch further, 1 inch further, 1 inch further. How much more time can we shave? How many more mound visits can we cut? How many pitching changes can we limit? Faster, more, quicker. Less time, more appealing, TV, money. That's it. That's all they care about. All right, I'm done talking about it. I'm done ranting. Push back if you can. These rule changes suck. They sucked last year. They suck again.